Welcome back. We're wrapping up our discussion on the federal election with our federal election panel. Joining me are Brock Stephenson and Andrew Perez. Brock, let's turn to you for a second. So we know for months, more over a year, Pierre Poilievre was known as the carbon tax guy. Then within a few days of when the first measures after being sworn in as Prime Minister Mark Carney said that he's going to cancel the consumer carbon tax. Is this smoke and mirrors? It wasn't really canceled, because I keep hearing a lot of debate as to yes, it was, no, it doesn't, it means nothing, it means something. Unpack that for us.
And to make the actual tax go away would require legislation. The government can change the rate. So they've changed the rate to 0 at the moment.
Okay.
It could come back. We're not sure. And I think the real issue is Mark Carney stepped out there, saw the rage that was boiling in Canada over the issues beyond Donald Trump, and decided to finally step up after years of Liberal inaction and take some initial steps to try and right the ship for the Liberal Party before it runs into the shore and gives the Conservatives the majority that Poilievre was on track for a few short weeks ago.
So let's talk about pivoting. We heard Andrew bring up how the Conservatives, if they're going to do anything, they need to pivot. And I think Corey Tenike, the former communications director for Stephen Harper, I'd say poorly timed, came out publicly and said that, sort of blasting the Conservative Party, Pierre Poilievre, how they need to pivot and they need to change things. What do you feel needs to change, or what is there anything the Conservatives can do at this juncture to kind of recapture some of this lost ground that seems to be lost based on the poll numbers?
The Conservatives need to tie the story of Donald Trump's tariffs into the overall problem of Canada's economy is hurting. Donald Trump is a symptom of our problem, not our problem. The Liberals created this mess over the last decade. They've taken very few steps to help Canadians. Life's gone wildly more expensive. Crime is out of control. We got a fentanyl epidemic in some cities across the country, whether in Peterborough or Vancouver. I think your real challenge here is the Liberals have created most of these problems, and they're trying to make Donald Trump, rightfully so, a boogeyman, but he's not the only problem our country is facing. Many of these problems come from the Liberals themselves, and I don't know if they're up to the job changing the sign in the window with Mark Carney and keeping the same team in place in terms of the MPs, cabinet, and staff.
Now, as we look to the debates, Andrew, which we know there'll be two, one on the 16th in French, one on the 17th in English of April. I can assume that the Conservatives will say, like, welcome to the new boss, same as the old boss when it comes to Mark Carney. How do you feel, or how do you respond to that when people say, well, Carney was involved in advising the former prime minister, so any unpopular policies, really, he should wear as well? How do you respond to that?
I mean, of course, the Conservatives will do all they can to tie Mark Carney to Justin Trudeau, just as when, the Conservatives in Ontario did all they could to tie Kathleen Wynne to Dalton McGuinty, or tie Paul Martin to Jean Chrétien when you have these leadership transitions within a government, within the same party. At the end of the day, Mark Carney has never been a politician. He's never been a member of the caucus or the cabinet. Yes, he provided informal advice in the last year or two, but that's about it. And if anything, the last couple of weeks have demonstrated that in both style and substance, Mr. Carney does represent positive change. And enough so that it has really moved the needle in terms of public opinion. And I just say, finally, I do think Brock's line is a bit simplistic. Yes, the Conservatives should try to tie the moment we're in to past failures, and they will point to the Trudeau government. But at the end of the day, the affordability crisis and many of the challenges that Canada confronts in a post-COVID world are challenges, public policy challenges faced across G7 countries. And Canada is not unique in that sense. And when you look at interprovincial trade barriers and diversifying our trade, these are issues that we have collectively failed on going back 25 years under the Trudeau, Harper, Chrétien governments. I think the silver lining is that for the first time in 40 years, we're actually re-examining our trading relationships, and we can't take the U.S. relationship for granted like we have since the early 90s when free trade, and we never questioned free trade. It was a fait accompli. It was a given.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've been forced, and that's not a partisan issue. That's a collective failure of subsequent governments over the past 20 or 30 years.
Okay, interesting
It has been a
points.
failure.
Okay, sorry, go ahead, Brock. You have 5 seconds.
It has been a failure, and Canadians have to see if they're going to get fooled one more time. We'll see in a few weeks.
Okay, we're going to have you both on in 2 weeks. Thank you both so much. Appreciate it.